You know, subjects like this week's aren't exactly something you look forward to talking about necessarily. It's not exactly something that's fun for anybody involved. However, I knew somebody with a passion for this industry like me was going to have to talk about this eventually because, in light of current events, it's unfortunately looking like this is a subject that's never going to stop being relevant in this industry. However, before we begin, if I have any business-oriented anti-consumer types in the audience who are going to take issue with what I'm about to say, do something about it.
In any field, no matter how big or small, being a smart consumer means being an informed consumer. And thanks to the recent antics of Square Enix, a lot of people are getting informed about pre-orders. If you're not aware of what they did, Deus Ex Mankind Divided recently announced its Augment Your Pre-Order promotion, where if you pre-order the game, you then get to pick one from a list of bonuses in a set. But that's not all. The more people that pre-order the game, the more reward tiers get unlocked, with the ultimate goal being getting the game 4 days early. Now, judging by the general reaction to the announcement, I think we're all on the same page about this one. And that's good, because I believe the more people learn about this business practice, the less they'll do it, and the sooner it can stop being a problem. But hang on a second, is pre-ordering a game really that bad? Well, let me explain the ups and downs of it, and you tell me. Let's use me as an example of an average customer. One game I'm really looking forward to is Fallout 4. I tell a GameStop employee this, and he asks if I want to place a pre-order on the game. That's a little weird in itself, don't you think? Paying for something before you even know if the product is going to be good or not? And never mind the fact that AAA games rarely launch in an optimal state these days, with Bethesda titles in particular often having nasty game-crashing bugs for the first month or so before they're patched out. I voice this concern, and he says, you might want to pre-order anyway, just in case we run out of copies. Now, I've worked in retail before. I realize he's just doing his job and he's required to say things like that, but if I hadn't had that previous experience, I might just start laughing at him. A collector's edition of a game, I'd understand. That's something that genuinely is only sold in very limited quantities and will never be offered again. Some obscure Japanese RPG, I'd understand, because those don't have the wide appeal necessary to be sold in many places, or in very big amounts. But one of the biggest, most anticipated releases of the year? Oh, please. Even if, by some miracle, my local branch of the biggest dedicated video game chain in America runs out of copies of Fallout 4, I can easily go to any number of other places. Target, Walmart, Toys R Us, Best Buy, and so forth. And I guarantee you one of them will have it. There's no skin off my nose which retailer I give money to. As long as I get my game, I have no reason to care. But then he pulls his trump card, and this is a pure hypothetical, I assure you. To my knowledge, Bethesda isn't actually doing anything like this. He tells me that there's an exclusive costume, gun, and quest chain that I can only get for pre-ordering the game. Now I'm in an awkward position. There is now this chunk of content, an entire piece of the game that I will never get to experience unless I put down money early. What kind of options are these? Either I fork over cash for something that I haven't even seen a review of yet to assure me that it's good, or I get it after it comes out and have this nagging cloud looming over my head that I'm just not getting the complete experience in a game I paid $60 for new just like everybody else. So, I begrudgingly place my pre-order and go home. The next day, I find out that there's a totally different costume and gun I could have gotten if I instead placed my pre-order at Best Buy. Now I just feel stupid, because even if I had been on board with the idea of pre-ordering in the first place, no matter who I did it with, I'd still be missing something. It's around then that I should be getting pretty sour on the idea of the game in general. It's around then that I might consider canceling my pre-order outright and just forgetting the whole thing. But you see, now I'm committed to this purchase. I'm financially invested. Psychologically, I've locked myself into the idea that I'm going to buy Fallout 4, and that I will be justified in buying it. I don't want to go back now, because that means admitting that I made a mistake. Which I totally didn't. Fallout 4 is going to be amazing. There's no way a company and franchise I know and trust is going to release a faulty product, right? Right? So the game comes out and it's already paid for. I pop it in, wait an hour for all my free stuff to download, and what happens? My original fears are confirmed. Character models are glitching, frame drops are a frequent occurrence, and sure enough, I hop online to see that every reviewer I normally enjoy is slamming this thing for its technical problems. No, they're wrong. It's not a bad game. I'm not an idiot. I don't willingly buy bad games. You're all just Nintendo fanboys. Maybe someday you'll grow up and play real video games. And that's how it goes. That's your lot as a consumer in this situation. But that's only one side of the story. What's been happening on the corporate end of things this whole time? Well, perhaps unsurprisingly, the larger publishers have a hard time convincing anybody with real business sense that pumping tens of millions of dollars into every one of your creations in a subjective field like games is a good idea. So, they decide to push a pre-order campaign to ensure themselves some money straight up. They have hard numbers to show shareholders at the next meeting that let them say, yeah, this is a viable business strategy, the interest is still there. All the while, their developers are on another floor of the building in their offices, taking time away from the work they actually want to be doing, aka the game they promised their fans, in order to create separate content just for this pre-order campaign. But let's put our tin hats on and get downright conspiratorial for a second. As the developers and publishers, you are closer to this work than anybody else. So if it sucks, you know it. And if you know it, maybe you'll be more willing to go with the pre-order campaign. Maybe the fear of keeping your job long enough to make another game will drive you to be more accepting of this practice and trick your fan base into buying this terrible experience. Maybe you pull some strings and set a review embargo until after the game comes out so that nobody will cancel these pre-orders and deny you your chance at surviving another day. And you may be raising your eyebrows at me right now, but there are documented cases of this happening. Famous cases like Assassin's Creed Unity and Aliens Colonial Marines. In short, when considering the benefits of pre-ordering a game, you quickly find that in 99% of cases, there is no benefit. You're willfully walking into a trap designed to inflict you with Stockholm Syndrome and turn you into an evangelist for a product you don't even know will be good yet. Effectively, an anti-consumer consumer. And for what? A costume and a gun you can't enjoy because the experience is terrible to begin with? A mission pack you can't access because the game is so buggy you can't even progress past the starting area without it crashing and deleting your save file? None of this fluff means anything, because if you're ultimately paying $60 for a broken experience, you won't be able to enjoy it anyway. There are too many downsides to not watching reviews first, and this augment your pre-order nonsense is the pinnacle of it all. It combines the marketer exclusivity of carving away multiple pieces of content that you won't get even if you put down money up front, the psychological effect of making you want to convince your friends to do something sketchy as well, and as for that 4-day early release, well, I hope you like spoilers, because unless you were planning on going on internet blackout for those 4 days, you're going to be getting a lot of them from your usual hangouts. Everything about this sucks, and I am so glad that everyone else is realizing that. Poor Eidos, they probably had nothing to do with this. No, this reeks of a publisher that doesn't understand how the Western market works, because if anyone at Square had been paying attention, they would have noticed that hilariously, this campaign bears eerie similarity to the dystopian, corporate-controlled future that you spend the entirety of Deus Ex trying to dismantle. Augment your pre-order. You can augment my ass with your lips. How does that sound?
So yeah, if I'm busting out the props again, I may as well bring this thing back, and you've seen this before. Underneath the hat is another hat, but wait a minute.